Hey, Squid will come at you with a tactics talk. Hey, let's talk micro positioning. Got a replay sent in by mercury00001. He's in his IS-3 Tier 8 Russian heavy tank. And he is loaded into Maravanka, headed over to the west side. As far as west and east side on this goes, you can make that decision either way and be in pretty good shape. You're going to have to analyze your team. Having lots of mediums or not lots of mediums can affect how the east side goes. Artillery is an issue on both sides, to be quite honest. So we're not going to get too far into the major decision as far as east or west. And you can see that he's got most of his friends with him. I'll show you what he's doing with his camera. Coming over here to the west side. So he chooses to get up on top right here. It's not my favorite decision. If somebody blunders up and over, oh look, someone did blunder up and over. I'd have aimed that shot a little bit more. And I certainly would not have driven straight forward and turned my side to him. Got lucky on the bounce. I think you probably could have made that shot. But as far as going up top there goes, TDs can sweep the top from the other side's back. This is dangerous. You shoot, oof. I think you actually hit the dirt in front of you. TDs can sweep the top and their arty can hit you. Now, there's no arty in this game, so that is going to change things. We got a bit of an echelon thing going on right here. And so as far as micro positioning goes, we'll go ahead and stop this. This is one of the obvious big places to fight right here, and you need to run in echelon like these three guys currently are right here. The IS-6 is going to have trouble getting his gun down because he's got himself up on the side of that hill, but Mercury's in better shape down on the flat. The IS-2 is taking up a side scraper position back behind that building, and you've got some guys that have pushed around the corner, but they've invested quite a few tanks here. And as has his team, he's got a bunch of TDs back there, some other guys hiding in bushes, an FV in the very back, interesting spot, and off we go. So as far as micro positioning goes, not a bad choice. Let's talk about how he fights it. You're going to find that he is in sniper mode quite a bit right here. Now this IS-2 makes a very unfortunate decision. Again, this IS-6 behind here on the right side is really going to have trouble getting his gun down. You'll find that Mercury, you are driving and fighting in sniper mode so much, more fighting than driving, but in the micro positioning deal right here, you end up being quite a bit in sniper mode. Now that's a decent zoom out. You're kind of taking a stock of what's going on. You guys are all stacked up. You got 5 tanks in one spot. Terrible idea if there was already for sure. And we're going to have some very patient shots from him right here, looking for a weak spot on the E75. And unfortunately, you're going to spend a really long time trying to snipe the hatch of that E75, who shows no interest in moving up. There's another shot. We've gone to gold now. You'll find that if the E75 shows you the flat plate of his turret, that the gold will go right through the flat plate, and you don't really need the hatch. But that was a good shot. And the yo-ho. All right, so let's talk about this little micro positioning fiesta that's going on right here. We now have 5 tanks. The Oho has moved up behind you and either doesn't see you or is purposely trying to push you out in front. Not sure whether you bumping into him had irritated him or what exactly was going on right there. My guess is that he's probably clueless because he's at 2,000 battles and he's just trying to get a shot. He is probably also driving in sniper mode, and that's kind of my point earlier. When you're just in sniper mode, not zooming out between shots and looking around and seeing what's going on, you'll get things like that, in which case you zoom out to see why you're being pushed. Nice job. That was good awareness that you were probably going to take a shot and then you get back out of there. This is probably a wise decision, getting away from the Oho. And you can even use him as a little bit of armor right there. Just be careful when you're running an echelon like that. If you come out, and I think we'll see an example of this in a moment. Another shot, you're really fixated on that E75. When you get an echelon like this and you come out and somebody gets in your way, kind of like this guy, and he pulls forward a little bit and then you pull forward a little bit, next thing you know, you can find yourself really out in the open. And if he backs up, either while you're not paying attention or before you're ready, often it will then leave your tank exposed. You can hit that 103 on the top hatch just like you can the E75. It's not as easy, but you can do it. another shot. So I haven't counted the shots, but that is a lot of shots trying to snipe the top of the E75. So micro positioning, you went to a decent initial position. You've done some work in here, kind of getting away from guys that are bumping into you, working to snipe the hatch of the E75. So not awful, but we spent a lot of time kind of fixated on this corner. What I have yet to see you do is go like this and pay attention to what's going on around you. And I didn't mention it earlier, but the object, the IS-3, the Defender, and I believe there's the KV-5 back there. KV-5 will move up, I believe, eventually, but they've kind of pushed around this other side, and you've got an IS-6 up top getting wrecked, Tiger 2, the Scorpion's moved over to there, and you have fewer guys back behind you, but never once have you really taken stock of what's going on here. Point of that is, sometimes, especially in the case of this E75 that's just holed down here and barely showing its top, you need to either commit, go around and take him out, or find another way, and my recommendation is find another way. Because one of the issues with this position is if you go boiling around that corner and try to take out that 103, maybe take a hit from the E75, there's going to be TDs back behind them as well, plus you've got that IS-3 back there, so really right now is not the time to go raging around that corner. And that's why this corner gets so stagnant. Look at the KV-5, he's moved up. And again, you haven't really, there you go. That's the first time I saw you look over there. And I don't know if you were looking at them or the shenanigans between the IS-6 and the OHO. There you go. It looks like you've paid attention to understand what's going on. Now what's interesting though is you do have to watch out for is the IS-6, the T-29, and you have all left. You've left the OHO there. You've got to pay attention to what the 103 and E75 do with that information. Which means that when you don't have a shot, look around, turn around and go, what's going on? Oh, the 103 looks like you might be trying to come around. I'm not sure you even saw that in the game because now you get fixated on this Defender. No reason to just stare. Right now you should be doing this. What's going on around me? Oh geez, that KV-5. Okay, I got the Defender, KV-5. I'm all right. Let's go find this. See if I can get a shot on this dude. So that's fine. Zoom in there. This game is still very much in the balance. I'm surprised that 103 didn't actually hit you. Now you're backing up. Again, I'm not as excited about this top spot up here, especially if they win the forest. They being the enemy wins the forest. I have no idea how you pinned that. I mean, he did side plate that pike nose, but that was crazy. If they do win the forest, which they have not, but if they did, this would be a dangerous spot to be in because if they come through those trees or up onto that berm about where that IKV is, they can then shoot you in the side as you're messing around up top. That's the danger. Plus TDs in the back, depending on where they are, more so about where the IS-3 is, they can hit you as you're up here. And the IS-3 hits you with HE. Good shot. I don't know if I would have stopped right there for that shot, but you did and it made it work. All right, this is probably one of the bigger mistakes that you're going to make. You're sitting on 1,364. You've been pretty cagey, very careful with your hit points. You are in a very winning situation in the game. You worked a good initial micro position. You came up top. I wasn't that excited about it, but at least you changed the fight a little bit and got some things going, so that's good. Let me say, I wasn't as excited about the way you did it, but I think it was a good idea. Now you've got a 103 who is busy with the OHO, and as you're coming in here, you're sort of looking at him. What I'd have been doing while I'm reloading as I came in is drove in kind of looking like this. Because what I want to know is, where's that IS-3? Okay, he's right there. So if I go over this way, he can't hit me. Neither can whatever TDs are way in the back there. If I drive around this way and come up behind the 103, I can probably get hit by him based on the geometry of where they are. So I can clear that piece of ground by going over here and protect myself from the guys over here, or I can go cut it left and expose myself. A lot of that information I would gather just by zooming out, and I can't right now because you are actually in sniper. It's one of the limitations with the replay. You got a shot on him right here. There's no reason to go any further forward. You're probably still protected, actually. Yep, good to go. But what happens here? Oh, you shoot on the run. Of all the careful shots you took all the very careful shots you took, and then this one you try to snapshot on the run, that kind of blew my mind. Because he's not even looking at you. I'd have stopped, let it zoom in a little bit, fine-tune, maybe try to get it right there on his back on the engine deck and walloped him. And I'd have not been hit by anybody over here. But watch what happens now. We're going to ram him. Got my one. Ow. Man, that hurt. Ow! More HE from the IS-3 friend. And now, exposing myself once again, oh shoot, to the Scorp or Challenger, whichever it is. I think it's the Scorp. Yeah, Scorpion, who's obviously hiding back in the corner. So as you're looking at this, you have about 4/5, 3/4 map control. More than likely the Scorp is back in here. He could be back up on this red line as well, but odds are he's back here, and you just expose yourself to them. So had you gone over to that corner, you'd not been hit probably by the IS-3. You certainly wouldn't have been hit by the Scorp, and you could have popped the 103 right there. Okay? So lots of hit points given up just on a poor micro positioning decision. There goes the Challenger. Now we just got to track a Scorpion and an IS-3. Not really sure what you're doing right here. I'm assuming you're trying to stay out of being hit by the Scorpion, but again, if you got to pay attention to the map and the micro positioning. I think once you got there and sat there for a few seconds and we're not lit anymore, you could have easily snuck over to that building and around the other side of it, to the west side of it. I think that's what you eventually do. Because the IS-3 is not going to see you, right? He's over there, below that little ridge. And more than likely the Scorpion doesn't have the view range, because he's going to be back in the very corner in those trees. Realize knocking things down does give them SA if they happen to be looking that way. Probably not a giant big deal, but it's just one of those small things. If I'm going to come up over this hill right here, I'm going to try to get as behind that bush as possible. And that might be what you're doing and trying to put it between you and the Scorpion. But it's not enough for the IS-3. And because there are two angles right there, this is a bummer. It actually gets him in the tracks. Which I think then you get tracking damage. Looking for it. And we'll come back. Now you're reloaded. Must be waiting for someone to get lit. Probably not a bad idea. Alright, so micro positioning here. What are we doing? The problem with this hill in the IS-3 is you have such bad depression, you've got to come all the way up and over, take a shot. And you know that the other IS-3 is there with a potential shot on you. If you look off to your right, there's a bit more flat terrain, and it still rises a bit. If you get right about there, drive right up to about, there it is, the little crosshair, right up to about there, your turret will be poking over this little ridge right here, but you'll be able to see back into this way. What you can do then is you go over there and you take a little quick poke and you come back and you see if you get lit. If you don't, after you pull back, then he doesn't have the view range. So now we're going to come over again. IS-3 just comes at you for some reason. Good shot. And he had the same problem you did. He didn't have the depression to shoot you. He was still driving up and over trying to get his gun on you when he disintegrated. And then we go. 2,565, 3 kills. Not a bad job, but quite a bit of discussion on micro positioning. This is something that I saw in your last video. It's just maneuvering your tank to create more shots is the bottom line of micro positioning. So as far as your side goes that you pick, that's fine. Very careful initially. I think you sniped at that E-75's hatch a little too much. When you finally did see what was going on around you and reacted to it, you did a pretty good job of helping your team clean up. I thought that could have happened a lot earlier. Really bad decision micro positioning wise on coming around and taking out the 103, the snapshot you didn't really need to make, the place you went, and then losing most of your hit points right there. Kind of limited the rest of what you could do in the game. If you'd have still had 1,000 hit points or so, what you could have done against the Scorpion and the IS-3 would have been a lot different than just sort of popping over and looking for him and then popping back and hiding. So just some things to work on. Quite a few good things in there as well. I hope this helps, and if you guys like what you see, as always, hit the subscribe button, and we will see you.